Okay, looks like we're live, so I'd appreciate it if anybody lets me know they can see this on the chat. So it's going to take 30 seconds. I hope everybody's doing good. Hopefully those of you that didn't go to Gen Con are still excited, and those of you that did are not too tired from getting back. So I'm just kind of waiting here to see what's going on and updating all the Twitters and everybody so we know we're live. So I had a really good time. In general, I was pretty tired. I did right about 60 videos, sort of live or whatever, from the conference. And, I was pretty tired. And Friday, I think, was the day that really killed me. I wanted to get more gaming done on Friday night, but I developed a large headache after a really fun game of Two Rooms and a Boom and a bunch of other stuff before that. And then I had to go lay down for a bit, and then I didn't get back out until like after midnight, and then I was up till like 2:30 or so playing some light games and stuff like that. Let's see, are we live yet? Okay, we are live. Good deal. All right, awesome. So I got some questions already, so I figured what I'll do is I'll kind of leave some of the stuff for the end in terms of the lists and things, um, and all that good stuff. So I will just kind of work through my geek list of sorts that I posted on Board Game Geek, and I'll keep an eye on the chat here and all that good stuff, so I can see what you guys are really wanting to play or listen to. So the first thing on the list, I just lost my list. Hold on a minute. Sorry about that. I'll put that in the tab. These are all updated. Okay, let me make sure. Sorry, a little bookkeeping. Hard to juggle all these windows at once. Okay, so first thing I did on Tuesday, I got there Tuesday. I like to get there Tuesday because I like to get a lot of videos done Wednesday. It actually really helps and adds to the overall count. So I played Imperial Settlers. Ignacy Trevicek taught myself that, and Keith Collins. He's Major Malfunction on Twitter and stuff. He taught that. I played a game with him and myself and Ignacy's wife, Mary. Very fun game. I've got it up on the shelf up there. You can see it probably. And definitely a game to explore because each faction is really different. I'm super excited about how it works. I was a big fan of 51st State, but the guys that I play that kind of game with like to play Race for the Galaxy, so they were kind of like, we'll just play Race for the Galaxy instead. It's so good, and it is good. But this is the one that I can play on my family game night because the theme is less science fiction-y and stuff, so we can get some family members that aren't so into that, into that. So I'm excited to play it with them as well as my gamer group. So we'll see how that goes. So the next one in the list here, go ahead and interject. I'm checking the chat as well. I checked out the Spirit Island prototype. I think Chris said that was going to be on Kickstarter, just to kind of gauge interest because it is kind of a departure for them in terms of branching out from Sentinels and all that stuff. It does look really cool. A very, very unique, innovative kind of thing where you've got the different terrain and you're sort of like haunting this island. It's a co-op game, and there's like invaders and there's villagers on the island that you're trying to protect and protect the island in general. And you basically are trying to put fear into the invader. So I thought that's really cool that you're like, it's almost like Ghost Stories in reverse where you are the ghosts. And one guy said it was like Catan in reverse. It's kind of like part of the design. So I'm definitely excited to see that, to come up. And I will get to the surprises here. I'll kind of mention it as I go through why I was surprised or not, and then I'll give you like a top 5. My favorite games, and I'll give you maybe my best and worst surprise of the game, of the convention. So the next one is Sentinel Tactics Unboxing. That looks awesome. I can't wait to actually, play that for real. I should be actually be getting a copy of that soon-ish, I hope. And that looks really, really fun, really awesome. Sentinels is one of my favorite games of all time. And Tactics looks like I may actually like it better. So looks really good. If you haven't watched the video, it's just a good unboxing. Doesn't really tell you how to play, but it looks really cool. The next one is Munchkin Panic, and this wasn't my best surprise of the convention, but I was definitely surprised because like I played Munchkin once, like however many years ago, and it was one of those catastrophes of a game. And I've seen other people play it and have a good time and stuff, but it's not really my kind of thing. And this is actually really cool. I mean, it's not like a going to take you 3 hours or whatever it might be. And it's got the whole Castle Panic engine. I don't know. I could see it's not something I'm really interested in playing, but if somebody brought it, I would totally play it just to play it once and check it out. I think it's something that families would like and Munchkin fans will really like. But it's like a really nice marriage of Munchkin and Castle Panic and all that good stuff. So anyway, that was definitely a surprise to like it. I gotta be honest. I went there. I was like, okay, well, it looks I have to get a video of this because it's Munchkin thing, and it's Munchkin Panic. It's a cool mashup. But after the demo, I was like, this is pretty cool. I would totally play this. It seems like a solid design. The next one on the list is Athlas Duel for Divinity. This looks interesting as well. It's a lot of the detail is going to be in the cards, because basically this one, each player sort of constructs a type. So it's like two demigods fighting over control of this weird planar realm, and you create these different types and stuff, and you can build and totally customize them out of this giant deck of cards, and you can totally tweak. There's a lot of variety that's possible in this game. So I didn't get a great sense of how it plays out, but I got a pretty good sense. And so it's interesting. It's one I would like to see more of for sure. One thing that of note, I don't know if you guys, and I'll ask you this probably a few times, but I'm always looking for ways to improve these videos because, just as an example, the Team Covenant guys rock it out of the world, but they really cover a couple of the big hits. But they do such, they focus so intently on that. They did a great job with all their fantasy flight stuff. They're big into living card games and X-Wing and all that kind of types of games. And there's a team of them. They're cruising around, and I like the kind of in the booth atmosphere. It sometimes it's noisy, sometimes it's not really that bad. So just leave comments and stuff if you want. I made a blog post on BDG, but just in general, I'm curious about the feedback. I like kind of the live in the booth thing because nobody really does that. I mean, other people do that, but it's an interesting way to do it because it kind of puts you there, if you were standing there at the booth and stuff. So I don't know if that's good or not, but one reason it comes to mind is because at Atlas, it got a little noisy. I think it was Atlas or a different one. There was somebody backing up one of those propane little tractors that they have setting up, and I didn't really notice it, but then I kind of noticed it after it stopped, so that stuff was annoying. But that was a Wednesday video, so I maybe won't do videos on Wednesday anymore because of that stuff happening. It's kind of annoying. But anyway, Atlas looks interesting. Evolution looks rad. I can't wait to play Evolution. I played the original, which came from, I think it's called Right Games, a company out of Russia. This took a lot of the randomness out of it, and I really liked the original. I said in my review, it's pretty random, but I like it thematically. It's cool to see your creatures grow. You build creatures and eat and try to survive, and you can eat other players' creatures. But this looks like they went, revisited the design, kind of Eurofied it, balanced it out, made it a little bit more fair. So I'm super excited to try this one, and I hope it does well because I think it's a good theme. It's interesting. It's the way the traits work together is really creative and all that stuff. So it makes a lot of sense thematically. So that was okay. We'll get to the end of Wednesday demos, and I'll peek over at the questions. Then Isle of Trains. I actually had a chance to play a full game of this after the demo. Really good. It was super late on Wednesday. We played a 4-player game of it, and it went a little bit long, but we were all learning. I think everybody at the table had played it, except Tiffany Ralph, One-Tar. She's played a couple games with her, actually. She had played it before, I think, some time ago. But we were fried. I mean, most of the other folks in the room had just flown in. I was exhausted because it was late. But it was a really cool game, very Race for the Galaxy type of style game where you got multiple uses of cards. And really interesting sort of, I always use this word, brinksmanship, where if I build the train, you can load the train and you get a little bonus, but now my train's loaded so I can make a delivery. So you kind of you're not cooperating at all, but you are using each other's resources and stuff. So that's really neat. That is really, really cool. And it's just a small 50-card or 52-card deck of cards. That's really cool. All right, one more. Mercs Conflict demo. This is the last one I got on Wednesday. And this looks interesting. I wanted to get a Mercs Recon, which is their co-op. a game. It's sort of it looks like almost like a Counter-Strike type of thing where you go in and rescue hostages, and you can break down walls and stuff. It looks kind of a neat thing, but I didn't get a chance to. They had it just there in a prototype form, but I got this and I got their Myth Wave 2 models. This looks pretty cool. I liked it. This was one of those like enough to intrigue me to want to check it out because it looks like there's a lot of interaction between the players, and it looks like a dice building game. It's like Quarriors or Dice Masters, but it's a fixed set of dice. It's not collectible or anything, and it's not sort of like you don't pull them out of a bag. You buy the dice, then you get access to them right away. And there's a huge sort of player aid of all the different abilities that all the different dice do. So there's a lot of combinations and stuff. Kind of overwhelming, actually. But it's definitely a game that I was intrigued by. I want to take a closer look at. So that was the Wednesday games, and just for people joining now, I am just kind of going through my geek list in order, and then going through that. So now I've covered everything up through Wednesday, and I'm just going to take a look at questions. I will do a top 5, and I will do sort of the most surprising good and the most surprising bad for sure, and then a couple other questions. Let's see here. Anything on a specific? I didn't get to play 5 Tribes, and it was like ships passing the night. We met 3 times. I actually scheduled time, but they were super busy when I came at the scheduled time. And then we scheduled another time, and then somebody had actually taken the game with them back. We met early at 9:30 before the hall opened, but then we didn't realize it didn't get. I don't know, whatever. It didn't get communicated to him to leave the game there or whatever, so we missed it. He said we'll come back later, and I came back later, and he was already gone because I was busy doing a bunch of other videos. So probably my biggest disappointment to not cover and not get to see and play was 5 Tribes, because everybody I talked to was like, this is awesome, it's really good, it's very, very different, very competitive, and, good, solid Euro. So that's definitely my hugest disappointment as far as like games go. And that kind of follows up the next question, any games that scratched the Euro itch. That was definitely one of them. Imperial Settlers, kind of in that regard, it's more of a card game. A couple others, I'm trying to think of some. Isle of Trains was pretty good, but I'll keep that in mind. There was definitely more of a Euro presence, more of a European presence here. And I'll just throw out there, everybody I talked to at the convention was like, this is better than Essen. I'm not going to name names because I don't want to get anybody in trouble, but publishers, other reviewer types, other people that have attended both. It seems like there's more people at Gen Con. It seems like there's way more gaming activity at Gen Con from what I understand. You don't get a whole lot of actual playing of games. It's not much of an event. It's more like a trade show where you go and buy games. And I don't want to sound like I'm trying to torpedo Essen, but I agree with Mr. Vassal on this. I think Gen Con is just as important as Essen at this point in terms of releases. Now, the problem is that you don't get a lot of Euros at Gen Con. They're underrepresented, that's for sure. But on the other hand, so is the other styles of gaming underrepresented at Essen. So you've got that. And to me, it seems like there is quite a bit of sort of networking if you're like in an industry kind of thing, if you're a designer showing prototypes or trying to meet with production people, all that kind of stuff. That seems to happen more at Essen, probably. That's just kind of a guess, but that's kind of the impression I got. So Essen still is super, super useful for a lot of different things, but I think they're definitely like there's 1A and 1AA, they're really close. So, yes. I think I'm caught up on questions. I did not get a chance to actually try the Pathfinder iOS port, and they wouldn't show it to me. I mean, they showed it. They had it on the big screen. They had 2 TVs. If you look at the video, I'm interviewing the guy, and then up to his left and right are 2 giant TVs. The interface looks awesome. It's Obsidian, so they're very experienced, doing graphics and, code and all that stuff. It looks really, really cool. And I was like skeptical because my problem with Pathfinder is I played it mostly solo, but my favorite way to play it was with people. Because you need that kind of table RPG, attitude happening. Yeah, but I think it's cool because if you can control multiple characters, it's a good little time waster on the iPad. And no, I didn't try True Dungeon. It was sold out like in 30 seconds or whatever it was. And I know I didn't try Shadow of Brimstone, but I will say to you, look for a review, I think, from Mr. Marco Arnaudo. He sent me a message. I don't want to get him in trouble or set him up, but he sent me a message earlier today where he was playing a lot of Shadow and Brimstone today. So I expect he'll probably have a good positive review of it and a pretty good detailed review of that. So yeah. So let me jump back to the Thursday games, and this is start some of the bigger ticket items here. XCOM, the board game. I did 2 videos of that. One focusing on the app, and one kind of focused on the gameplay. I will say, you know, Team Covenant, they did a super long demo. That's your big in-depth demo of XCOM. I haven't watched it. I haven't watched anybody's reviews or videos because I was kind of like, I've been busy and there's like 1,000 of them, so I'm going to try to catch up over the next week. But I did notice the length, and I know they're going to do a good job of it. If you watch mine, though, I would say give that one about halfway or so through, because I was frankly kind of lost a little bit because there was kind of a lot to take in. He was describing all 4 of the roles. But then about halfway through, it really clicked for me, and then I became very interested. And then I did we did another thing where it was specific about the app. So this one is in my top 5. And I'll just I guess I'll just mention them as I go, and I'll tell you the order. But this one's definitely in my top 5 of the show because it's so different and unique. And you know, I don't know. I have to try. I have to play it. It's like one of those that like. You know, the app thing may end up being a gimmick. I don't think it is from what I saw, but whatever. I got to at least try it and check it out. It's something like almost like a once-in-a-lifetime kind of thing. Not really, but it's like it's a new. You know, it's new. I got to check it out. And so next was Star Wars Armada. This looks really good and solid. You know, I wouldn't say I walked away disappointed in it at all. But I wouldn't say I was super, super, super excited. You know, I don't know. This looks cool. It's like X-Wing is kind of like, you know, I already got X-Wing, or I got rid of my X-Wing stuff because it just became like collecting. I don't know. I'm kind of more wait and see on this one. I'm not super excited about it, but I totally would play it, of course. I mean, you know, it is what it is. It looks cool. It looks like they did a good job, and I think it's going to be interesting to check out. Yeah, sorry, that's kind of mediocre. I hate like milk toasting, you know, what I say, but it's just kind of like I'm not really sure about that one. Warhammer 40K Conquest, the card game. You know, it's another LCG. I really started getting into the Star Wars LCG right before I went, funnily enough. But I don't think they had anything new there. They probably have some more expansion packs. But I really got into that. That's a really good game. I wish it wouldn't have taken so long to get around to playing that. But I'm like, this is really, really good. So. You might see a review like a year late for that one, but having a good time with that. This looks good, though. I mean, this looks like a solid, good design, the Warhammer 40K Conquest. I like that you have like an avatar guy, and you know, I like sort of the mechanics and stuff. It looks really cool, and it's Warhammer 40K, which is neat. You know, it looks good. That's all I can really tell you about that. The next one is the Witcher adventure game, and I've actually had a chance to play this online because I got into the beta. Sorry, they have an online beta that CD Projekt has built, sort of an online version of the board game, and it's not the full board game from what I understand. And they don't really have rules. They have sort of a half. I don't know, not half-baked, but sort of a basic tutorial that sort of jumps you in, but you really don't know what you're doing. But I was able to play with a couple of folks and who had already played it and kind of pieced it out. I really think this is going to be very different than people expect, but I actually like it more than I expected. It's a nice, like, sort of medium adventure game. It's not super heavy with a lot of crazy stuff. It's sort of a yeah, Seer Magic. I did lose. Yeah, Seer Magic's the guy that kind of showed me the ropes and gave me a little bit of the insight. No, I beat you, didn't I? I can't remember. I played with Dan Patrice and somebody else, and I lost that game. Anyway. All right, so anyway, I like that. And there's a little bit more, you know, Dustin, I saw at the demo more of the sort of semi-co-op stuff will happen where you can sort of complete each other's quests and, you know, sort of leech points off of their quests, which is pretty cool. So there's a little bit more interaction than what's available in the online demo that I saw. So I'm really excited about it because once you know how to play the game, it should play really quick. It feels kind of like Elder Sign, just in terms of sort of the speed of your turns that'll happen. It's not really like Elder Sign though, because it's definitely competitive. But you're kind of trying to match dice symbols and do the different encounters. But you're going from place to place, kind of like Talisman or Runebound. But it's less random for sure, and you kind of tech up your guy. But it's very light. You know, it's not super strategic, and it's more push your luck. And like, do I go for this quest? It's going to give me more points, and it's take me longer. It's harder. So it's definitely a race game. But it looks like it's very well done. Actually, yeah, I think you did catch up. I can't remember. I think it was late, and I was tired. I'll take your word for it. You won. It was a close one, though. All right. Uh, Next one is Legendary Encounters demo, and yes, that is in my top 5. I was really blown away by this one. I did not expect to think this was going to be very cool at all, but they really went above and beyond, I think, in terms of, pasting, or not pasting, but injecting the alien theme here. You're going to be able to play scenarios that are like basically out of the movies. You've got characters that you're going to be. There can be some betrayal aspects, because if you're a big fan of the aliens, you know those android suckers are always betraying, the crew based on their orders from the company and all that good stuff. Sometimes not always the android. Sometimes it's always the little company man that's along for the ride. So it's got that aspect into it. You can take damage. I think if I remember right, you can be eliminated. Really cool, and that just some of them. He showed some of the thematic flavor, some of the special abilities and stuff. And I really should have bought this one on the spot. I tried not to pick up too many games while I was there because I was really running around doing all this stuff. I bought 2 games the whole time I was there. I really should have just bought this one because I was like, this is so good. This looks awesome. And I'm a big Aliens fan. They did show some other Legendary Encounters. So you have like Marvel Legendary, which is like one line, and they have Legendary Encounters, which is another line. So they had Predator, and I think they're probably going to do Alien versus Predator, and then they kind of branched into Strangeland where they had Firefly, and then they had The Crow, which is weird. The Crow is like the weird niche within a niche within a niche, more than Firefly. I like The Crow, but dang, like, why are people so much into The Crow? I was talking to somebody about that, and we were trying to figure it out. But so they got a whole weird kind of funky line there going Legendary Encounters, but the Alien one looks rad. I'm totally gonna get this. Yeah. Oh, okay. So I'm looking at the thing. Yeah, Seer Magic. She mentioned you get a certain amount of points instead of number of quests. She did say that, and I didn't question her on it. And I think she maybe she was confused or misspoke, but I could be wrong. Maybe the actual rules are a little bit different. But anyway. So yeah. Sorry, just tabbing over some questions. Next one is Jupiter Rescue, and I requested to do a video of this. It looks really cool. It's from the guys that make Zombies, and a husband and wife design team. It's their first game, and I just really like the look of it. It looks kind of like, I hate to say your basic co-op, because it looks like it does a couple of things differently, where the board is getting destroyed and you're trying to evacuate different people from an escape pod and stuff. And I was glad I sat down and they gave the demo, and it looks about as good as I thought it would look, and I don't know, it looks really cool. So it might be a nice sort of family co-op, I think, right in that vein there. Continuing on, I did a quick video of Myth Wave 2. I talked to the guy Wednesday, and they had him there, but he said tomorrow we're going to have all the models in for Wave 1 and Wave 2. They're going to be painted, professionally and all that stuff. So I took those, and those look neat. No more to say about that. The next one I'm super stoked to check out. It was Cult Express. Check this out at the Asmodee booth, and Ludonaut did this. Those are the folks that did Lewis and Clark, which I was a huge fan of. I still have that in my collection, and they're doing this, and it's like, if you look at the video, it's like a 3D train. Which people have asked, it actually stacks nicely back into the box, so you don't really have to do much assembly, just kind of set everything up. And each player is basically a train robber, and there's a little policeman, sheriff guy, and you're jumping from car to car, you're traveling along the roof, and you're stealing stuff, you're playing cards on each other, punching each other, shooting each other, and but super, streamlined, not too many rules, a nice like 1 hour kind of gameplay, nice family game with sweet components. So, I'm excited about it. It looks really cool. It'll look fun on the table, and so that looks really cool. Maybe one that would creep into my top five. It's not my top five, but it's right up there on the cusp of that. So hopefully Essen has a lot more, a lot more coming up. So, next one, Hyperborea. Some folks have asked about that. That one, I got some comments on that the demo was a little bit harder to follow. This is only a 7.5 minute demo. I think I could have pushed this one a little bit longer. These guys were super busy when I hit Asmodee. They were busy all the time. So this one and the next two, we basically had to sort of do the demo as people were playing. Which isn't ideal, but it's also kind of cool to watch people playing, I think. I don't know. But I felt like we could have done, I should have pushed them for a little bit longer here, and it's hard to know, what other people are getting, because I'm there with them and I'm watching, and I'm kind of picking stuff up. But I could have had a couple more questions to push them on this one. I do think this one looks very interesting. It feels like it has kind of a Nexus Op feel, where you're just kind of like grabbing territory and resources and stuff, but it's got this sort of deck building stuff built into it. I don't know anybody that really played it, because I think it is a little bit daunting. It's a bigger box. I saw a lot of people walking around with it, but it's definitely one that I want to check out, because it looks very, very different and it looks very, very cool. But this might be one you gotta like watch twice if you were to watch the video and watch twice, because by the end I had picked up kind of how it's going to work with, sort of teching. It also reminded me of Kemet, where in Kemet, if you played that, you have the different colored pyramids and you sort of tech one way or the other. This looks similar to that, where you're kind of driven to fight, you're driven to take over areas, and you are going to have to choose sort of your speciality, from the cubes. Speciality? Did I say that? Specialty. Next one is Black Fleet. There's this one, Black Fleet and Abyss, and like I had scheduled these a long time ago, and this is kind of one where because there are his 1/2 dozen, where I'm like, okay, there's already been like reviews and previews of these already, where I feel kind of strange going in. Like for Abyss, Tim Norris, he does, I think it's Great Elephant Gaming is his YouTube channel, or it's also his Twitter. He did a fantastic playthrough with him and his wife of Abyss, and I watched that from start to finish, and that game looks really cool. So I kind of already knew a lot of the game going in and how it might work. It feels kind of like a mix between Raw and Biblios and that kind of style of, kind of a funky push your luck auction game type of thing, with really crazy art. And then you get the different special abilities from the stuff that you buy. So that looks really cool. I'd definitely go check that out. But like Abyss and Black Fleet, there's already been, a decent chunk of videos. Watch It Play did a nice one of Black Fleet, where you kind of already get your thing. And, these videos are kind of to show new stuff that you haven't seen, but I figured, well, it's not going to hurt, so we did these videos anyway. But anyway, I kind of feel bad. I was going to watch some other videos, unfortunately, because I think there's already produced and thought out videos, not just kind of seat of your pants. But both these look interesting to me, and the components are ridiculous on both of these. Let's see, we're getting towards the end of Thursday, I think. We got a few. No, we got a few more. Okay. Next one is Eminent Domain Microcosm. Didn't even know this. Well, no, I knew this game existed, but I didn't know anything about it. And so it looks cool, though. I was surprised. Funny story. My battery ran out while we were making this. This was towards the end of the day on Thursday, and I had my battery and then 2 backup batteries, and I had totally been cruising along like totally cocky. And then the battery ran out, and I had to swap in another battery, and that was the one I hadn't charged. And so I swapped in the other one, and so then we finally got it done. You can see it's kind of cut up. Well, it wasn't meant to be like that. It kind of worked out where the cuts kind of actually worked, I thought, for the Microcosm video. But this looks cool. I think it looks really good, actually. I'm a big Eminent Domain fan, and it does look sort of like your 10-minute Eminent Domain. The card mechanic where you play or pick up your discard pile is really cool. And I actually got the Aquasphere, I mentioned that before, on video, I was going to do it then, but we had the battery situation, so I said I'll come back later. Then I was standing in line to go back into the hall in the morning, and Seth Jaffe saw me, so he pulled me into the Tasty Minstrel room. I recorded it, and then we got back in line, and then I was talking to people, and then I realized, oh, my memory card's full, almost full of all the videos from yesterday, so I hit delete, and then as soon as they all deleted, I was like, oh, you stupid. You just deleted your Aquasphere demo. But I backed it, so on Kickstarter, so you will see a video eventually. I still haven't told Seth, so I'm going to email him here this week. And I hate looking like an idiot, so I was like, but it did look good. It doesn't look like a Stefan Feld game. It totally does not look like a Feld game. It's a really extensive programming, stuff where you have to set up multiple actions and then everybody kind of executes them and you're gathering stuff. So it's other one I was kind of like, well, I really got to sit down and play a whole version of this. Where are we? All right, that's a good stopping point. So I will swing back over to questions. I missed one there. Yeah, Shadows Over Brimstone. Definitely check out Marco's channel for that. Argent Consortium. I didn't go by there. I was interested in seeing them, and that's one that I missed. We had made a loose agreement. We didn't actually set a schedule, which is why I forgot to go by there, because I was really good this year about actually scheduling and keeping a Google Calendar and stuff. And but I talked to these guys, and I actually backed Argent Consortium based on the demo. Actually, I took of it last year, but I didn't hear many people talking about it. I don't know if they just had one for demo or what there. Let's see. Next question is, okay, what do you think about private publisher rooms? I think it's a great idea, actually. I actually would drop into the Tasty Minstrel one and visit them, once in a while. I've become pretty friendly with Seth. He actually comes up to Seattle to a convention here, kind of a small local convention where we play a lot of the new Essen releases. So, I felt comfortable going in there, and some other folks that I know are sort of friends with them, sort of friends of friends and stuff. And I generally like those guys, in general. I think they do good, and they're very friendly and upfront about what they do. And I enjoyed going in there and watching people play Bomb Squad, which is upcoming on Kickstarter, which is awesome. I can say that outside of my preview video, which I do have one coming out for. You actually see Hanabi go up for auction. I bought the that limited edition with the tiles, and after playing Bomb Squad, I'm like, oh, great, thanks, guys. You just replaced Hanabi for me. You'll see why. I won't talk too much about it. I'll kind of leave a little bit to the imagination there. But yeah, I do think it's a good idea. A lot of people say they have a good time in the Rio Grande room, which I didn't visit and I should have. And the yellow room, I heard good stuff about it. Yes, Major War stuff I'll talk about in a second. New Bedford. I'll talk about that in a minute. Yeah, the Crow is crazy. Sorry. Will Dead of Winter increase the saturated zombie market to finally help stop the insanity? I don't know. Dead of Winter is awesome. I haven't reviewed it yet. I actually had a chance to teach it to somebody, though. I had a free moment, and frankly, I like teaching games, and so I was able to teach some of my friends there that are from Virginia, and I had a chance to teach them, so it was a lot of fun to do that. And then I hooked up back with them. They said it took them 3 hours, but they were kind of goofing off and stuff. But they had a really good time. So everybody I've talked to really loves Dead of Winter. Any idea why so little on the wargaming front? I will talk about that in just a minute. And yeah, not a point salad with the Aquasphere. Well, kind of. I mean, it's a Euro, so it's not like I don't know. Yes and no. I think yes and no. Sons of Anarchy, yes, I have played that, and I talked to. I didn't get a chance to play it at the con. I was hoping to actually play with Chris Kirkman. The Dice Hate Me. He's apparently a huge fan of Sons of Anarchy. He picked it up, but we never really synced up. I was really hoping to play with him because he's a fan of the show, And I found out also that Andrew Lloyd, he does Left Hand reviews. He's also a big fan of the show. He actually had a chance to play it without me, and he really enjoyed it. He's a big Gale Force 9 fan, I think. Well, he really likes Spartacus. So, yeah, the folks I have talked to really, really liked it. I will tell you, it's very mean and very nasty. So you're sort of, I think, hardcore Euro may not really like it as much, but I enjoyed it. To me, it was like it's like a dudes on the map game almost. I mean, it's not like a map. You just have locations, but it's all area control, and there's a lot of combat and special abilities. It's a very interesting hybrid of area control, worker placement, but also you're just doing combat. So it's like I keep going back to Nexus Ops, but it looks like Nexus Ops on the board. You got your little minis, and you're fighting and all that stuff. I will not be at PAX Prime, unfortunately. You know what I've been told, though, is PAX East is really the better of the two conventions in terms of board games. There's the Greater Than Games actually did a release there last year. Was it? Not last year, but a few months ago, they basically released Galactic Strike Force there. Do I agree with the BGG Geek Buzz rating as Heroes Wanted being the best game of the convention? I don't. No. I don't want to make this negative. I really didn't care for that game at all. So there you go. All right. And so now I'm going to go back to the list. I'm trying to keep this in an hour. We'll go over a little bit. So next one is Golem Arcana. This one is amazing to me from a technical perspective. It felt a little bit too much to me like you were actually playing a video game, and the miniatures and stuff were more just like a controller. Like instead of a mouse or joypad, you're actually just controlling the video game. But I definitely want to take a look at it. I'd like to try this with my son because he likes stuff with miniatures now. He loves Battle Lore, and he really enjoyed River Wars there. So I think you may like this, and it may be really cool to set up the iPad. We've got an iPad, and we can set it up. You can look in the video and put it up. It looks neat. And to me, XCOM's more interesting, but in some ways this is, I don't know, this is really going to push the boundaries, because if you watch the video, you can, like, when you play a game, it'll, like, get uploaded to their server, and it'll compute whatever and change the overall, war that's happening, kind of like a massively multiplayer game. And then later on, it'll generate more scenarios based on what all the players are doing all over the world. I don't know. That's really cool. And I don't really know. To me, it's kind of getting into the video game world, but, so what? It's, I don't know. It's intriguing. It's intriguing. I'm not as excited because, I don't know, maybe it's Grandpa kicking in, but it's really doing something different and new. And I think they've executed in terms of the production and the software, from what I've seen, on all the levels. It's not. It doesn't feel like a cheap gimmick. It feels like they really invested and they really are trying to explore the space. So you got to give them huge credit for that. So definitely something I think folks should take a look at. Next, Mage Wars, a Domination demo. These guys really take their time. I got to tell you about Arcane Wonders. They really take their time developing this stuff, and they don't care if it takes a little bit longer. I was hoping to have more stuff to show, because this is basically Mage Wars Battlegrounds, and this is one of the modes in Battlegrounds. It's going to be modular boards, so it's not going to be just basically head-to-head. There's going to be domination. There might be like capture the flag or something, I would expect. Lots of different cool ways to do it. And out of all of the board games I've played, Mage Wars really feels a lot to me like World of Warcraft Arena, or maybe even their Battleground style of game where you've got your little bag of tricks and you're trying to throw out different combos at the other guy. So I'm really excited about this stuff. And so I'm excited also for some of the multiplayer stuff that will make it possible. So this, I know I still got Mage Wars, but I got basically one person I play it with, and this maybe we'll be able to get it to the table more often in terms of multiplayer. Sorry. Let's see. Oh, I hear thunder. That's no good. Monster Truck Mayhem. This game is nutty. Actually, we played a game of it after I shot the video. I wish I should have just recorded the game. The game takes like 5 minutes to play, and I got destroyed. and oh, I hope I don't lose power. And I got destroyed at it, and I really was like, there is a little bit of strategy. I was really surprised. I was like, okay, I see kind of what's going on. So it's not a lot of strategy, but there are things you can do with just those 3 dice to make it interesting. So I want to see this when the components are done, because what I showed is super prototype, basically paper and little paper standees and stuff. So this is definitely one I want to see more of, and see more tracks, see them kind of explore a little bit more, some of how the tracks work, maybe have some cards or something they throw in there. I love the thing where if you get in the lead and you hit the little microphone stand, you have to flip a card and you have to read it like in this super annoying announcer voice, and read it and let everybody else catch up while you're reading and they're rolling. That's just awesome. That's a great mechanic. So normally I don't, stuff like that. You're like, that's silly, but it really works for this one. Next one is I screw this up every time. Fidelitas, man. The designer Philip DeBerry, he corrected me like 5 times. I felt bad. I normally am good with the pronunciation, but this looks bad. This looks cool. I mean, it's on Kickstarter right now, so I just go check it out. I think Richard Ham did a run through. So Richard really recommends the game, and that's why I contacted Philip and said, hey, you know what? Show me this game. I know it's on Kickstarter. There's a lot of videos, but let's put another video out, because Richard really loves it. So I think it was on his top 10 to check out. New Bedford. Now there was a question somebody asked about New Bedford. Let me just scroll up. Just give me a second here. Okay. So the question on New Bedford, it seemed that they missed the mark on art and production values, at least to me. Interesting theme. Okay, well, it's a prototype, so I don't think the artwork's anywhere near final on that, from my recollection. What I did like about it, component-wise, is the way the town works, because you have a central area and you just kind of build your own little corner. So it's a nice way of having a board, but not being constricted. I mean, it seems pretty simple, but I like that. And I like stuff where you have the worker placement of it, but then there's this kind of race or little sort of sub-mechanic off to the side for the whaling aspect of it. And I've seen some folks post some issues they have with the whaling, and whaling is a horrible thing, of course. And but it's kind of historical time period, and this is kind of when whaling is coming to an end. So I don't know. I do think the game looks interesting. I like games where you build stuff and other people use it, because I'm a huge Kalis fan. I like the theme, because it's a very specific, about a town. It has some historical stuff happening in there. So I think it looks interesting. I'd like to see a little bit more final art and stuff, but it's definitely something I'm going to keep my eye on. And, Dice Amy usually does really, really good jobs on games. I mean, they did the Monster Truck Mayhem, too. And New Bedford, they're responsible for, what's that game I liked? Great Harlan Hauling Company. That's a really cool game. So next one, Spirits of the Rice Paddy. This is one I'm not sure. I've seen some folks post and comment and say, oh, he didn't do a good job presenting it and all this stuff. And I will say that Hall E, where I got a lot of these prototype demos, is probably the worst location. I did in Board Game Library and in the exhibitor hall. There seems to be extra noise in Hall E, and I wasn't picking that up on my headphones. I had headphones that I was using. I was just picking up that I could hear him clearly through the headphones. But I thought Philip did a great job. I think this looks very, very interesting. We discussed a little bit after the video was over. It's kind of a Agricola feel in terms of you build up a thing. Like Agricola, you build up a farm, or Caverna, you build up a cave network. So you have a physical, visual thing you can look at in terms of your rice fields. And that's cool. And then the card drafting looks really, really cool. So it doesn't look like any other game where you might say, oh, this is a worker placement game, or it's just a card game. This has some interesting mechanics that I don't see in other games. You've got to kind of control the floodwaters coming down through your fields. It's got heavy card drafting, throughout the game. Usually with these card drafting games, it's like a Seven Wonders. It's very, pick a card, put it face down, everybody reveals it. and that's fine. But or you see like you card draft and then you play. But this one is like built into a Euro. So this one, somebody asked a question about Euros. You know, New Bedford looks good. Spirits of the Rice Pattern looks really good. And that's going to be published by 8 Games and kickstarted. I think he said early next year, but I can't remember. I think they're still kind of working that out. So yeah, in terms of Euros, I mean, these are prototypes, but I think these look good. All right, a couple more here. I'll go back to questions. I'm just going to run long. I'm a big hypocrite here. Pay Dirt demo. You've seen this on Kickstarter, and it looks good. This was the final that Patrick showed me. It looks like a really, really cool game. One that I almost backed, actually, but, you know, just budget reasons, to be honest. Like, I can't just back every damn thing. Looks cool. Designed by the designer of Alien Frontiers. You know, so that's a good pedigree. Yeah, so looks good. I mean, it looks really, really good. And you know, everybody talks great things about Patrick, and Patrick is just the bubbliest guy you can meet, and he's great. So, so that's good. Next one, Battle of Five Armies, looks great. You know, I'm just a recent convert there to playing War of the Ring. You can see it up there. This looks like a little bit simpler in some ways, a little bit more just straightforward battles, but you still have some story elements woven in there in terms of like, you know, when certain units come into play and stuff like that. So it looks like actually it looks like more of a traditional war game, but it's just set in a fantasy theme. But they've borrowed some of those same mechanics from War of the Ring. It looks really good. It looks great in person. So I'm excited. Next one. This one I'm really excited about. This is another Dice Ain't Me game. This is Brew Crafters, and designer Ben Rossett, who did Mars Needs Mechanics, which is a real sort of basic, sort of streamlined economic game. This Brewcrafters looks really cool. You know, Ben did a good job. It's a 12-minute video, and we really could have gone for another probably 5 or 6 minutes. There was some rules that he left out just in terms of time. I think he left out the correct rules. Look, this looks awesome. I mean, it's beer brewing, and the theme and the mechanics seem really, really joined nicely. So I'm excited about this one quite a bit. Not top 5 of the show, but this is probably another one that I would say, you know, when you mention it, I'm like, ooh, where is it? Can I have it? Can I play this? Let's see, two more here. I'll talk about these and then we'll go back to questions. Thunder Alley. I did a 7-player Insanity game of Thunder Alley. That's one that I actually had a chance to play before the convention, and I wanted to play our 7-player game there. And really get a sense for how it would work with that player count. It really turns into a party game, and very sort of random at that many players. My gut feeling tells me like 4 or 5 is the most I'd really want to play it at, but I would play it with 7. But on the other hand, when you play with 7, you start to like negotiate and say, hey, if I draft with my 8 car, will you, you know, draft with their 69 car? And so you get in that flavor of the NASCAR theme of negotiation and stuff. But it goes a little bit long. If you played really seriously, you could get it done in less than 2 hours with 7, but you're not. You're going to have negotiation, you're going to have table talk, so it's going to take you about the 2 hours to play, which isn't bad for a 7-player game. But Thunder Alley is awesome. If I get some time this week, I'll throw up a review of it. Well, I don't have time this week, but I'll definitely play it some more and get a review up maybe next week. But I love Thunder Alley. It's really, really good, and I hate NASCAR. It's not. I don't even consider it racing. I probably lost like 1 billion subscribers from that statement. But all right, next one, and then I'll go back to questions. World Cup game. We've been playing this. They've been doing it for like 5 years, and I joined them last year and played it with them this year. And you see the video. We played with the 2014 teams. It's a big, long, you know, fun couple of hours just to sit there and not really pay attention while, you know, it's not your turn. We played 8 players every time, and this time we were able to play it in a little like cafe. It's just a lot of fun. We all like soccer, so it's very nice. And just, you know, I hate to name drop. Ignacy Trevicek, he plays with us. He's a big soccer fan. If you follow him on Twitter during the World Cup, he's hilarious. Anyway, it's a great time. And Ignacy has a great sense of humor, and Rob and Brian and Scott and those guys, it's a great time. And you won't see me do any video of it anymore, but I just wanted to get that on video one time just so you could see That's a lot of the things that can happen at Gen Con. All right, back to the questions. This is going to take more than an hour. All right. All right, next questions. Yeah, Sheriff of Nottingham. I didn't get a chance to play that, but everybody I talked to said it's amazing. Never tried WoW Miniatures. I heard it was pretty good. Yes, sir? What's up? Hold on.
I'm going to take Evan home.
Okay. All right, let's get started already. Good. All right. Sorry. We have a child visiting. My son was just asking if you could walk him home. Was there a display of WizKids new? Yes, they did have new Marvel Dice Master cards. Nothing new that I could see from what they showed at the Gamma Trade Show. But there's that. And yes, I do need to try Race Formula 90. And Dustin, I am getting a copy of that. I actually emailed the designer or the publisher before Gen Con, and then I got an email back yesterday that said, hey, we'll send you a copy. So cool. I'm excited because I have Formula 1 and rally car racing would be kind of like my bread and butter. I'm not a huge fan. I don't know all the guys' names, but if it's on the Drive channel or whatever, I'll watch it. I'll watch the Monte Carlo race too. I like watching that. All right. So we're more than halfway done. So I'm going to try to blow through some of these. I apologize if I do. Epic Resort. That looks like a very fun game. One I almost backed on Kickstarter as well. Looks like a good, solid little Euro. So yeah, it looks good. It's got a cool theme. You know, heroes, not super, I almost said superheroes. Heroes defending a tourist attraction and all that stuff. It's really starting to rain here, so I'll also speed up just so I can get through everything. Lagoon was shown off in final production form. That was a good Euro. Nothing for sale, of course. It was a Kickstarter game. But I've actually have played this a while ago, and so that one is really good. I think people are really going to like this game. It's another nice blend of Euro mechanics, but also a lot of the special abilities on the hex tiles. Really cool and dynamics. It's a stock game at heart. I think this one really should have a lot of crossover appeal. Another one I'd probably put it in the top 5, close to top 5. So, next one, Castles of Mad King Ludwig. Another good Euro. This is actually really an Essen release, but they did have it there to demo. This may be sort of the crowning game in the sort of Suburbia trilogy, maybe, because you got Suburbia and Subdivision and Castles of Mad King Ludwig. I talked to a lot of people. They're like, oh, I don't really like Subdivision. I'm like, what? Did you play it once? Yeah. Well, that one you got to play a few times because, yeah, it's super light, but it's like This is one thing I don't get. I'm gonna soapbox here for about 8 seconds. If a game is light, then people want to just throw it under the rug for some reason. I don't know. Maybe it's just people expressing their likes and dislikes, and that's fine. But it's just weird. Like some people just, not everybody, but enough people do it where they're like it's a bad game because it's light. That's really annoying. I don't know. Subdivision is a good game. So Castles of Mad King Ludwig looks really good. So I'm very excited about that. I'm going to do a couple more. Man, it is super raining out there. I may have to go check on something real quick. Pathfinder Adventure card game, iOS interview. Yes, I could not get the footage. We already talked about that earlier. It does look awesome, though. Okay, Imperial Assault. I'll just go ahead and tell you this is my #1 game. This looks great. The reason it sells it for me is because it has the skirmish battle mode. And you don't have to play like a campaign and all that stuff. You could basically play it as a 2-player game. With one guy as the Imperials, one guy as the Rebel, and multiple guys just controlling the different, the different forces. It looks really cool. You could play it as a campaign game. It's basically the ground assault version of X-Wing, but there's more game to it than X-Wing. X-Wing is just kind of move around and shoot stuff, So, but this is really going to be, I think, really good. So this is definitely my game of the show. I know I just think about it a little bit, but I'm a sucker for Star Wars, just like anybody else. A couple more. Shadowrun. Actually played this last year and sat through a couple of turns in the demo video you can see there. So it looks really cool. I mean, it's one I kind of would like to play a little bit through some multiple scenarios and kind of go through the character upgrades and stuff. So yeah, so that looks also really good. Die Fighter looks awesome. I actually got my copy of it sitting up there. I love that you can play it 2-player now with just the little pit fighters and all that stuff. So it looks like a great expansion. You got the experimental cards; those look rad. Because after you play Dice Duel a few times, I think it starts to get a little bit sort of like, oh, I'm rolling dice, I'm rolling dice, I'm rolling dice. But now, you're going to be able to throw in these experimental cards to add in a lot more flavor, special abilities, asymmetric stuff to the different ships. So that's awesome. I think to me, it feels like it's a necessary expansion to keep the game going. So there's that. Panamax, that was released. There's another good Euro. And not a lot of Euros for sale, but this one was. Definitely, I don't know what to make of it. It's, I got the demo, I've seen the other videos, I've read the rules a little bit, and, no, I haven't. I haven't read the rules of Panamax. But I've checked out the rules. Have I? I feel like I read the rules to this. I think I skimmed the rules or something. Anyway, might be making that up. But it looks cool. I'm very excited about it, and by the designers of Madeira. So definitely hard to say because there's so much going on to really get a good impression about. Diamonds looks very, very cool. I really like the mechanics for this. I haven't actually played it. I took this, and then I took Shinobi Clans, which I'll talk about in a minute, to work. This is going to be kind of my work group stuff. Video Game High School, that looks neat. I mean, I don't really get a good sense because there's so many different special abilities, but production quality looks great and everything, so one I have to play. Yes? What's up?
Our bidders are overflowing. That's how bad it's raining.
Okay. Are you taking them home?
Oh, no, not until the rain stops. He called his dad.
Okay.
Second stay till the rain stops.
Okay. All right.
What do you hear from Mom?
Yeah.
Years.
Okay. Say hello to Timothy. He likes Battlelore and Wars, and what else do you like?
I don't know.
Okay, let me keep. These guys are watching. All right. He's a stranger.
Stranger danger.
All right. There's Timothy. He's like that when you play games, so it's like playing with Tom Vassell. All right. Sorry, I'm just messing around. Next one is Mars Attacks, the miniatures game. And that actually looks really good. This would be one of the surprises of the convention because it's a board game, but it is super miniatures. There's line of sight, but also like three-dimensional line of sight. And this looks actually pretty good. I was actually surprised that I thought this looked as good as it did. Chimera, this looks good. It's a 3-player only ladder climbing game. I think it looks really cool. So. The other thing I do like about it is it has the 2 versus 1. It has the changing dynamic. The only reason I don't really like Tishu or don't really play Tishu is because you've got fixed teams and the partners on it. This dynamic is going to change throughout the game. A lot of like Frank Zoo and things like that. So it's very much, depending on how the bids work, it's going to be 2 versus 1. You can probably hear my dog barking at the thunder. Arcadia Quest. This looks awesome. Maybe close to top 5, but I'm not really sure. I kind of feel like I'd play Imperial Assault before I'd play Arcadia Quest, so that's what kind of bump it out. But the way they've set up the design of Arcadia Quest and how you can do a campaign and go from game to game and game looks really cool, and I really like what they've done here with this game. So sorry, I'm kind of blowing through it. So let me see. Let me catch up on questions. And take a drink. Just about to. I think I talked about Lagoon right as you joined there, Benjamin. Consequential, I didn't see. I swung by the Asmati booth, but God, I didn't really see it. Check Richard. Richard was really into that. He might have mentioned that. I'm not sure. Let's see. Panamax, yes. No, there was no D&D Dice Masters info. I did actually have a chance to talk to one of the WizKids guys. I think kind of off the record, so I won't mention it. But, I mean, it's coming. I think that's going to be a very different game than, like, the DC and the Yu-Gi-Oh! Stuff. It seems like there's going to be a lot more game modes and stuff available. I think that's all I can say about that. Versus is coming back. I did get a chance to look at this. It's a reprint of a lot of the cards that are in the original Marvel Origins, but unfortunately it looks like they can't use LCG. because Fantasy Flight has the copyright to Living Card Game, so they're gonna have to change the name of it. Yeah, so that looks good. I did talk to some hardcore Versus folks, and they were disappointed that like there's no Savage Beatdown. And if you remember Versus, if you played Versus, Savage Beatdown was like the card that that people wanted. So it's like, well, why didn't you reprint Savage Beatdown? But I talked to a rep at UDE, and they said this set that they were selling there was kind of just to see how much demand was there and see how much folks really wanted. Yeah, I don't know. It seemed like sort of a big announcement and then sort of a couple of steps back. So I'd be excited if this was really something that they were going to push and release. I mean, I don't know why you just wouldn't release like the whole set of Origins or something, or you could do it in two releases because I don't know how many cards there were. But I mean, if they released a set, it was like, hey, here's all of Marvel Origins, 4 of each card, boom, bought, instantly. So there's that. Okay. Battle Lore Command. This one I'm of two minds. The iOS Battle Lore looks amazing. I love what they've done with it. I love how they changed the mechanics to work with the iOS because they did change the mechanics, but it's basically the same game. But also I'm like, well, where's the real Battle Lore stuff? Because really, as good as this is, I love playing Battle Lore with the minis. I love that. It's super fun, I mean, I love playing Battle Lore. There's no way that this iOS app would make me get rid of the base game. There are other iOS apps that I'd rather play than not the base game, the physical game. And so, but this one, no matter how good it is, I don't think I would give up the physical game. So there you go. It looks rad though. It looks really, really rad. Next one is Rise of the Kage. This looks awesome. This is another one that is close to one of my bigger surprises of the show. Didn't know this was coming out. This is coming out on Kickstarter. These are the guys that do the Bushido miniature system. They're not a board game company, but this is a board game, and this is their first board game. And there was that other ninja game that came out, not Ninjato, there was another one, that it didn't really click. It was a little fiddly and a little bit kind of, it would get out of balance and stuff like that. But this one looks really cool. You have a guard player and then maybe one or multiple ninja players trying to sneak in. It looks like a very streamlined, very heavy combat as well, which I think that other one was missing. I can't remember. It was a couple years ago. But it looks cool. I'm really excited about this one, actually. So, yeah, Rise of the Kage. It's going to be on Kickstarter, so check it out, and, they'll have more information there. Next one, Eldritch Horror, Mountains of Madness. There was no demo of this. I just took a video of the case. It looks rad. I'm getting it. No matter what. So I like that they added a bunch of new investigators and other stuff, and looks like there's a bunch of new cards. So there we go. Wizard Dodgeball. This is actually on Kickstarter right now. It was one of the. Was it a finalist? I think it was a finalist for the Tabletop Deathmatch last year. This looks pretty cool. I don't know how final the gameplay is and stuff, but it seemed pretty final. It looked like a really quick, light, little sort of back and forth Wizard Dodgeball with special effects, and I don't know. That's kind of a funny thing. I think it sounds silly, and I don't know if the Kickstarter was doing so hot, but I don't know. I didn't really see any problem. I haven't actually played it to run through and see if there's any glaring issues with it. It didn't seem like there would be. So, looks neat. Got a few more here, so I'm going to blow through the rest of these, and then we'll get into more general stuff. D&D Attack Wing demo. This looks cool. I don't know. I had X-Wing. I kind of got out of X-Wing just because it was kind of like they had the big ships, and I'm like, where am I going to put all this stuff, I still like X-Wing. And I've got games like Battle Lore and Mage Wars and those kind of games that I got enough kind of two-player, types games. This looks cool, though, D&D Attack Wing demo. I'd likely pick up the starter and check it out. I do like that there's air and ground, and that's kind of a new thing for the system. So it looks good. The models look really good. I did get some video of some of the ground troop models. Not really any clear idea of how it worked and everything, or how the ground troops would work, but it looks cool. I think folks will like this, and the models are really, really nice. Shinobi Clans. Okay, that's my number one surprise of the show. This is rad. This looks like it'll actually replace Cheaty Mages for me, which replaced Colossal Arena. Both games that my lunch group really, really, really liked. This looks like it's got drafting, it's got all kinds of like bluff and counter bluff, and sort of that shell game idea. And it's not an arena. There's nobody battling, but you're trying to either make a target live or die based on a ninja assassin contract that you select each round. I mean, yeah, this game looks really, really, really cool. So this is definitely my number one surprise of the show because I had no clue what this even was. The publisher's Post Human Studios. It's the designer's first game. He's a German guy, so that's interesting. They come over here to do a Gen Con release. So it looks really, 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 really good. The X-Files prototype. This one, I don't know. This one looks interesting. I think the video leaves out a little bit. The designer Kevin Wilson sort of, he commented on a couple of spots where I posted the video and said, well, you kind of missed a little bit of the card play and the interaction that's going to come from that. So it's much like a card-driven game than anything. So, I wasn't really expecting a lot from this, but I want to see more of it to kind of, flesh everything out. So I was happy to get a look at it, though, and the components are still definitely prototype as well. Yeah. So the next one here, War Stories. This one is really close with Shinobi Clans because War Stories really blew me away. And somebody asked a question earlier about war games. Gosh, yeah. Shinobi Clans and War Stories are really close to my surprise of this show. War Stories looks awesome. I really, really was like, oh my gosh, I'm in love with this game when it was done. And just, it seems like it really streamlines a lot of the things. It's super innovative. I mean, I don't know anything about. Hold on a minute. Who's calling me here? What button? That's not a number I know, so I'm not answering it. Okay. Yeah, it looks great. Sorry to get interrupted there. Curse you, phone. Really, I would take a look at this. It was on Kickstarter. Pandemic Contagion. This looks like a very light card game. I wasn't really sure what to expect with that. Looks like a nice lunchtime filler, so it might be something that I get and play at lunch. Battle at Kemble's Cascade. This, I think, is my number 3 game. Had a chance to demo this. A lot of people have come away confused, and I know that when I watched other videos from Origins and things, I was kind of confused. I was like, what is happening? And I've had those comments on my videos. But having actually sat there and talked to the guys, and I did talk to them a little bit after the video as well, this looks really, really good. And I think it's going to be more of an Ameritrash type of player that's going to like this than a Euro player, because you can just shoot each other and you fly around and you set each other up to get, fly into walls or whatever, and steal power-ups from each other and all that stuff. I really think this looks great. I mean, he showed the whole scrolling thing, so he's got this kind of race to tech up and build up for the boss. I don't know. I think this looks awesome. I love that they've really tried this. Okay. All right, so stop raining. So off he goes. 8-minute Empire Lost Lands demo. This looks really good. Very, very interesting card drafting mechanic with the added to the basic game and some different other elements added. So I like it. He's really kind of pushing the bounds with this. And actually, I won't tell you the game or anything. He showed me another game, which is a riff of one of his previous games. Looks really, really interesting. Very, very new things. I don't actually remember the name of it, and I don't want to say anything because I don't want to get in trouble because it's very much in process. But he did show me a prototype for one of his earlier games. It's not like a sequel, but it's sort of in that universe or that that setting, but very, very, very different style of gameplay that I haven't really seen before. So there's a little teaser. The last video here is the board game library. I was able to interview Lee here, and unfortunately, he has stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he's passing off the use of the library to his daughter and stuff. And I don't want to sound. I don't want to come across as antagonistic, please, if anybody's watching this later. I've heard a lot of other folks that kind of do what I do and other designers and publishers and stuff kind of bag on the library recently. And it does have its issues, I agree. But the folks that I talk to that are just like your regular players love the library. And yes, you can go to Hall E and D and play, but it's very hard to hook up there. It's very hard to find each other. It's a big hall. You know, you're not really guaranteed table space, and you are, you know, if you get a ticket for this, you're guaranteed to have a table. And you know, yes, the room could be bigger. Yes, the room is loud. Yes, the entrance and exit rules are kind of wonky. But I think if you get over that, the entrance and exit rules aren't so bad. I don't know. People really cry about that a lot, and it's like, oh gosh, it's not that big a deal. The room is not that big. You walk at the other end, you go to use the restroom, and you circle all the way back, and then you're back at the entrance. It's like a big circle. So I really like the library. I spent a little bit of time in there, not as much as I really wanted to. Like I said, on Friday I kind of crashed. But I was able to teach, you know, Dead of Winter in there and get a couple of videos recorded there. So I really think the library should be embraced. I think, you know, there should be communications had. I'm not the guy to do it, but, you know, and try to improve it as much as we can and get it maybe into a bigger space, you know, a better space that maybe actually has a restroom inside. I don't know if there's any room in Gen Con like that. Lee does a good job of going over the issues and giving us a nice presentation of the history of the library. So I love the library. I think it's great because Gen Con, back to my earlier point about Essen, is about playing games as much as it is about buying games. Okay, enough soapboxing. I still love the people that say they hate the library. Okay, just so we're in there. All right. Okay, so now I'm catching up on stuff. I didn't get to check out Samurai Spirit. That's one. I did talk about XCOM earlier. Cult Express, yeah. I don't think Battle of Fire Armies is a War of the Ring killer. I think they're complementary. I think you could have both because War of the Ring has that narrative element with Frodo and Sam and the whole thing, and that kind of that dual game thing happening. That doesn't really exist. I don't feel like. So the question is, don't you feel like going into D&D tackling is like going into half a game? No, because I think the Dragon Flight game is fine. It seems fine. I think it's nice because, and the other thing about D&D tackling, it's more geared towards multiplayer, especially as well, and similar to Star Trek Attack Wing. So I think that's going to get it to the table more often. So yeah, I had some other things. One thing I would just ask if you guys can leave comments here or on Board Game Geek or wherever. You know, what did you think about the whole presentation of the videos? Did you like them? I know sometimes it was loud. Hall E kind of sucks for the videos. I'll try not to do them in there and try to say, hey, can we do it in the board game library in the day or something, or find somewhere else where it's a little quieter. The booths actually aren't bad. If I'm standing up, the booths are a little bit louder, but if they have a table for me to sit down and stuff, then that's actually really good because the sound all kind of travels up and above the mic, whereas if I'm standing up, I'm picking up all the hallway and traffic a little bit. But I have a directional mic now, so it's better than last year. That's for 100% sure. You know, one thing is some folks have made comments about some of the demo speakers, and I did try to make appointments with everybody, you know, beforehand. And, you know, I did put some people on the spot, and I have deleted some friggin' comments on my YouTube channel about people bashing the demo speakers, and I, you know, like, please don't, you know. That's is my channel, right? It's, you know, it's the drive-through thing, and I put these people on the spot, and a couple of them I could tell were nervous, and so it's my fault. I feel like I put them, you know, in harm's way, and I don't want to do that. I don't want them to go, oh, there's the video I was in, and then they read these comments of these jerks that are like, yeah, this person didn't really know what they were talking about, because I really don't think. I think the majority of the videos, the speakers were excellent, and they did a great job. So I'm just going to leave it at that. And I just have to say it out loud. I'm not talking to anybody I know watching this right now. But anyway, I apologize. You know, if anybody gets their feelings hurt, I feel awful about that. So let's see. I'm just going to do quick lists because then we got to kind of wrap up, and they'll answer last couple questions. So The games that I really missed out that I regret, Argent Consortium looks good. I had an appointment to do the Super Robo Rally, which is like giant like robots. I totally just blew that one off. I really have to email the guy because it was that schedule got all backed up and I ran right over it. I actually missed my chance to play Unspeakable Words with the tabletop folks because I was too busy doing videos. And it looked like, I don't know if Mike Slinker was there. I thought he was going to be there, the designer of the game, but Antoine Bauza looks like was there, and I was like, oh crap, I could have played a game with Antoine Bauza, but so I blew that off too, and but I paid for that ticket, so whatever. But so I missed those. I missed Five Tribes. I kept trying to run in and meet Matt Leacock. He was there presenting Pandemic: The Cure, which is like Pandemic the dice game, and we just kept missing each other. They wouldn't let me make an appointment with him for some reason, but I don't know. It is what it is. I think he was trying to stay loose. So I regret missing that. Mars Attacks, the dice game. The time I went there, the booth was a zoo. That Steve Jackson booth is a zoo. I mean, people talk about Fantasy Flight stuff. The Steve Jackson booth is just as bad. Same with the AL guys. King of New York and Zombie 15. I tried to get those. I couldn't do it. It was just, they were understaffed. They had a few folks get sick. Level 7 Infiltration. I wanted to check that out. I mentioned Mercs Recon. I'm sorry, I'm rushing. The new Firefly expansion, I really wanted to check that out, but they told me to go to the demo hall and try to do that, and it's like this big, setup. So these guys trying to get the game played, and they were constantly booked and busy, and I didn't want to interrupt because this is like folks that have paid to play a full game of Firefly, not folks that are just like a one or two turn demo. So anyway, and then the guy messaged me I think while I was there right before I left to check out Walkstar, which I totally forgot about, but we didn't set an appointment or anything. So I will do the games I played outside of those that I reviewed, and then I'll give you my top 5 in order. So I got a chance to play No Thanks with Tiffany Ralph. She's the one tar, and you guys really got to check out her videos. She doesn't have enough subscribers, in my opinion, because she really tries to do something very different with her videos, where she's like in an airplane or on a ski lift or in a library or doing some cool Sherlock Holmes detective work with her dog. That's my favorite video she did. Very, very, energetic, all kinds of great stuff, and really has a keen, point of view on gaming. And speaking of Tiffany, we played a huge I Dark Overlord, and you'll see myself, Richard Ham, Ronnie Smith, Lance Meister, the guys from the Secret Cabal, Talks from Chris Happens, Anthony Ricano, and those guys from Cardboard Jungle. Forgetting people. That's going to be on the Spooning Meeples channel, which is Tiffany, and Rhiannon. I don't remember Rhiannon's last name. So sorry, Rhiannon. But we all played a game of I Dark Overlord, and I was kind of a bump in the log, very tired with a little bit of a headache. But Richard Ham and Roddy Smith and Lance and Jamie and Matt and Anthony were all super funny to make up for me. So that should be pretty funny. I don't know how exactly they're going to present that. So check it out. Go to the Spooning Meeples site. And then we played. I actually played a Rhino Hero. Stop me if I'm boring you guys. I feel like I'm boring you all of a sudden. Which is a Haba game, which is this crazy little card stacking game. Really fun. I got to play Two Rooms and a Boom for the first time. That was a blast, and I cheated without knowing what I was doing because I couldn't hear that well. But it was really, really fun. I didn't screw up the game or anything, but somebody whispered to me later, she's like, dude, you're totally cheating. I'm like, oh, okay. So, yeah. What's up?
We decided to ask you first.
Mm-hmm.
If it's okay with his parents, if his parents say yes, can I stay the night over there?
Yes, but you need to wait till your mother gets home. Give me 15 minutes, I'll be off here.
Alright, well, I have to go back and talk to him.
Okay, well, you can wait till your mother gets home.
I have to go talk to him because he's outside.
Oh, okay. Alright, sorry about that. Summer break. Where was I? Two Rooms and a Boom, awesome. Had a chance to teach Impulse to some people and play Impulse again. We played it at like 1 in the morning. Do not ever play Impulse at 1 in the morning. I played Greed from Donald Vaccarino. That's a cool game. I was pretty surprised. I think I need to play it once or twice more. We played it twice, 2 or 3 times. It was late. And interesting, very different take on card drafting where you like have a little kitty of cards that you sort of cycle cards in and out of as you play. Very, very kind of rated R, which is interesting for a theme. But take a look at that one for sure. Had a great, let's see, 7-player game of Camel Up. One of my gaming highlights of the event actually was playing Camel Up. People were very, very excited about this game. Z-Man had their edition for sale, and everybody I talked to was like, "Wow, this game is much more fun than I thought it was going to be." To a T. So had a great time playing Camel Up there. And I played the new edition of Cash and Guns. I'm not a big fan of the Cash and Gun stuff, but I think this is definitely a better edition. I would play this again. So it is what it is. The last thing I played was Red from Asmati Games. This is probably my most disappointing game of the show. So that's because it's just, I don't know. I don't get the hype for it. It's something I'll try again, but it just is really abrupt and feels like you're on rails and in a bottleneck, and it's not really that interesting. It seemed like, the folks I've been hearing about, oh, it's so interesting, it's amazing, and no, maybe it's just been too hyped up for me, and I just was let down from that. So there. So I'm going to catch up on questions, do my top 5, and then get out of here, because my son is making plans for the evening, and I need to be on top of that. Let's see. Let me scroll up. And I appreciate you guys watching and your feedback, for sure. And, yeah. All right. I mentioned, okay, you bought 2 games. Which one did you buy? I bought One Night Werewolf, and even though my group has like 4 copies floating around, I needed my copy, and so that's why. So I probably will review it redundantly one of these days, but it's awesome. One of my favorite games of all time, I think. I hate Werewolf, but I really like Resistance and that kind of stuff, but One Night Werewolf is like the best out of that genre. The other one I bought was Kimball's Cascade. I bought it, and the guys autographed it for me. So yeah, that was the one I was most looking forward to, so I was like, screw it, I'm just going to buy this. I should have bought Legendary Encounters, though. That's my one big regret, that I should have bought that. Appreciate the feedback there. You guys talking about the videos, I appreciate that. Kingsport Festival, I keep hearing that talked about. I didn't get a chance to take a look at that. I had really no inkling going into the show about it, but a lot of people are starting to talk about that, so that could be one that I missed. Appreciate it. So I have, see, somebody's mentioning Tiffany's day 3 vlog. So I gotta go. Now that I've done this and I've got my thoughts out without being poisoned by anybody else's thoughts, I have a lot of videos to catch up on. So you may not see videos from me this week because I'm gonna be watching everybody else's catching up. So okay, no more questions. I don't think this thing doesn't update all the time. So top 5. Number 5. What is number 5? Is War Stories. So like I said, Shinobi Clans was a little bit more of a surprise for me because I hadn't actually heard of it. War Stories I kind of knew going in. But number 5 is War Stories. Number 4, Legendary Encounters. Number 3, Kimball's Cascade. Number 2, XCOM. And number 1, Imperial Assault. But those top 4 or 5 you can kind of interchange. I could put Legendary Encounters as number 1 because I was really, really blown away by that. So yeah, that's it. And then I will just make sure here. There's another link I can go to for the comments. Is Richard Ham really Jesus? That's a weird question. Something on Twitter. Let me do some quick investigating. Oh, no, I know what you're talking about. Yes, there's a picture of the Spooning Meeples event, and it has 10 of us lined up there, and it looks like the Last Supper painting by Da Vinci or whoever did it, and Richard's in the middle, and Richard looks like he's Jesus. Picture. I don't know. I don't want to get blasphemous, but that's just silly. Anyway, thank you guys. Appreciate it. Big hug. Oh, I was going to do one thing. I had a general kind of thing I wanted to read. Because for those of you that haven't been to Gen Con, there's something I've been meaning to put into words. It's not too sappy. So this is, I got this Meeple Source magazine. They were giving these, or Meeple Monthly, not Meeple Source. That's a company. So I really have a good time at Gen Con. I wanted to read this to you. This is an interview with Peter Atkinson of who runs Gen Con pretty much. I mean, he's sort of one of the people that runs it out of several. And so this is a question to him. And I want to read it to you, just, something to think about. Those of you that have been there will understand. Those of you who have been there several times will definitely understand. And those of you that haven't been will probably understand too. But so here's the question. With an event this big, I feel like no one person could possibly experience all of Gen Con. What is the most surprising thing about Gen Con that you think most people wouldn't know? And this is Peter's answer. To kind of answer it in reverse, I think people often experience 3 stages of Gen Con. If you're new to Gen Con, you go there to show up to the dealer's hall and see all of the exhibitors and what they have to offer. This is the first stage. The next stage, comes with learning all of the ways to get involved playing games. Oftentimes someone holds their hand and shows them how to get involved and registered for games, etc. The last stage is finding all the little micro communities that form Gen Con. I think most of the people who love Gen Con are part of some community or even 2 or 3 communities, whether it's the anime track, the film festival, or costuming, or something else. And there are so many various pop culture activities that are all connected to gaming and overlap the interest of gamers. All of that added together, the aggregation of that is an experience that makes the whole thing very deep and broad, but with gaming or gaming culture always in the bullseye. In essence, because people who attend Gen Con have their particular, In essence, because people who attend Gen Con have their particular community or communities that they can fully immerse themselves in, the surprising thing is just how many other experiences they could have had if only they had had the time or inclination. I think it is those communities that are there with broad and diverse but overlapping interests that make Gen Con so special. And I think that is very nice. I read that on the way home on the airplane, and frankly got a little bit emotional about it. And so, a lot of things run through my head. I got my gaming group here. I game with my family, and I have my kind of like my Gen Con friends at this point. Folks from Virginia, other reviewers and things. So I think there is something special there, and it's hidden beneath all these games and things, and finding the opportunity to develop connections with people and friendships, across a variety of different ways. I've become friends with people because they're reviewers, or because they're board game designers, or because I did a math trade with them once, and we kept that friendship going. So, God damn it, I didn't mean to do that. All right, so I think that is, I think that's it. So anyway, I appreciate you guys. I didn't mean to get teary-eyed there, but anyway, have a good year, and I will talk to everybody later. Go ahead and send me any text or anything you want to do. But anyway, sorry. Take care, guys. I hope you had fun. Thank you. Thank you for watching. Bye.